The theater was silent, so silent that you could hear the nervous breaths of the contestants waiting behind the curtains. Then, a small boy stepped onto the stage. His clothes were worn, his shoes too big for his feet, and his hands trembled as he held the microphone. The judges looked at him curiously, the audience whispering to each other. No one expected much from this boy. He didn't look like someone who belonged on such a grand stage. Yet in his eyes, there was something, fear, yes, but also determination. The host asked his name, and in a quiet, almost shy voice, he answered. He explained he lived with his grandmother after losing his parents at a young age. They didn't have much, sometimes not even enough for food, but his grandmother had always told him he had a gift. She said his voice could touch hearts, even heal them. That was why he was here today. The boy took a deep breath, and the first notes of Ed Sheeran's Perfect filled the room. At first, people leaned in, curious. But within seconds, the entire hall was frozen. His voice was fragile but pure, filled with so much pain and love that it cut through every wall people had built inside their hearts. The judge's eyes softened. One of them even reached for a tissue as tears streamed down her cheeks. This wasn't just a performance, it was a story. Every note carried the weight of nights spent hungry, the loneliness of growing up without parents, and the quiet comfort of a grandmother's embrace. As he sang the chorus, his voice grew stronger. It was as if he was no longer just singing for himself but for everyone who had ever felt small, overlooked, or forgotten. The audience erupted in applause even before he finished. By the time the last note left his lips, people were standing on their feet, clapping, shouting, and crying all at once. The boy stood frozen, overwhelmed by the love pouring toward him. The judges rose too. One of them, with tears still running down her face, said she had never been touched so deeply by a voice before. Another said that this boy was not just singing, he was healing broken pieces inside everyone listening. Then came the unforgettable moment, the golden buzzer. Confetti rained down as the boy covered his face in disbelief. He had walked onto that stage a poor, nervous child, and in just a few minutes, he had become a star. Behind the scenes, his grandmother was crying harder than anyone. She had always believed in him, even when the world gave them nothing. She hugged him tightly and whispered that his parents would be proud. For the boy, that moment wasn't just about winning. It was proof that even in the darkest circumstances, dreams could come alive if you dared to share them. But his journey didn't end there. As the competition went on, the boy faced challenges. He struggled with self-doubt, sometimes feeling unworthy of all the attention. There were nights he wanted to quit, convinced he didn't belong among singers with formal training and polished performances. Yet every time, his grandmother reminded him why he had started, to sing not for fame, but for hope. And every time he walked back onto that stage, he gave a piece of his heart to the world. By the time the show ended, whether he won the entire competition or not didn't matter. What mattered was the legacy he left behind. His story spread far beyond the theater, reaching millions who saw themselves in him. People wrote letters saying his voice had given them courage to fight their own battles. Struggling parents said their children watched him and believed again in their own dreams. The boy who once thought he had nothing discovered that he had the most powerful thing of all. The ability to touch lives with his gift. His story was not about poverty or pain, it was about rising from it. And so, his journey became a message to the world: it doesn't matter where you come from, how broken you feel, or how little you have. What matters is the courage to stand up, share your truth, and never give up on the dream burning inside you. Because sometimes, even the smallest voice can shake the world.